Alright, hey, shalom, Akim, shalom. First and foremost, as always, before we get started, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone that have taught us His truth and that rule well, and peace and blessings go out to the hopeful members of the elect, scattered throughout the four winds of the earth, that are in the hopes of receiving salvation and mercy during the time of Jacob's trouble, and that are worshiping the Heavenly Father in sincerity, in spirit, and in truth. Alright. Now this will be a fairly quick lesson. I just want to bring out some information in regards of Turkey's response of how they feel about this war in the Middle East, where Israel, is pretty much doing Iran the way that they are, and how, as things continue to escalate, Turkey's going to ultimately turn their tail against Israel, alright, and end up backing Iran based upon their little, agreements that they have with one another, alright. If you don't know, Turkey is a good ally of Iran, alright, and given the fact that they're close to each other, Turkey's going to get their hands dirty if things have to be taken that way, alright. And by the looks of it, Turkey's pretty much in that spirit where they're down for the smoke, so to speak. Alright, so I want to bring out a couple scriptures to edify upon that sad idea of what this is all brewing up, which is nothing more but biblical prophecy. Alright, we're in the time of the Heavenly Fathers moving the hearts of these kings to fulfill His will. Alright, and it's a very beautiful thing to see as we're given the blessing and the foresight of what is to come. Alright. So real quick before I let this video play, this is Proverbs 21:1. It says, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Most High, as the rivers of water, He turneth it whithersoever He will." Alright, and if you know the background of Turkey, Turkey once upon a time was a part of NATO. Alright, but now you see how Turkey's moving and they don't want anything to do with the US. Alright, how much more US's best ally, alright, Israel, alright? So the Heavenly Father is putting it within these nations to be put in a spirit where they're going to ultimately ditch America and wage war against them, alright? So without further ado, let's let this video play, and then from here I have some information on chat, and we'll tie it all with the prophecies, alright?
In Turkey, Turkish President Erdogan threatens Israel. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has made very strong statements against Israel. He called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu the Hitler of our times and warned that Turkey will not stay silent. Erdogan said the Turkish army is ready to finish whatever is left after recent events in Iran and threatened direct action against Israel. He said Turkey will support its friends and will not allow Israel to continue its actions in the region. These remarks have further increased tension across the Middle East. In Turkey, Turkish President
So as things continue to escalate in regard to the Strait of Hormuz being closed, Turkey's going to start putting themselves more involved within this conflict, man. Alright? And this is all according to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, where it speaks about how the Heavenly Father is going to put hooks back into the mouth of Gog and Magog. Alright? Which we'll get in a second, but before we do, I wanted to get this off a chat where I simply asked, through the back and forth war that Israel is instigating with Iran, which is causing the oil of many countries to be bottlenecked, how will Turkey over time react and respond based on this affecting their country? Alright, now I forget the exact number of how much oil Turkey gets from the strait, but if I'm not mistaken, it's a good amount. Alright. So reading this first headline, it says, "Here's the realistic geopolitical trajectory of how Turkey is likely to respond over time if this Israel-Iran conflict continues bottlenecking oil and disrupting global trade." Alright, which in essence, as we see how Esau and these other nations get down, they're all in for the, Northern Kingdom likes to say, they're down for the desmadre. Alright, but in the grand scheme of how America is going to get, the victory within this new economic evolvement, which is going to be via technocracy. America wants to be at the forefront of controlling it. Alright? But these heathen, they ain't down with that. Alright? Which is why you have all this backlash coming out within these nations. Alright? But reading on, it says oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz equals 20 to 30% of global supply are being severely disrupted. Shipping traffic has collapsed and oil prices have already surged 50%. Iran is effectively controlling access, creating a choke point on global energy. How Turkey will likely respond step by step over time. The short term, right now, in the next few months, diplomatic balancing. It says Turkey's immediate stance is already visible. It is calling for diplomacy, not military escalation, which that in itself is a damn lie. Alright, we just saw that video that is described the mentality of what Erdogan, the president of Turkey, is getting down. You know? And I tried looking for the video, but there was another one. I'll see if I can just look it up. But, Erdogan said that, hey, if we need to nuke Israel, we got as much weaponry that we need to make them, vanish off of the face of the earth. Alright? He will. I don't think it's gonna pop up if I word it like that, but we'll see what we're dealing with. How Esau gets down with this damn shadow banning. Let's play this video. Let's see if I think there was another one. Let's see what this says.
Batı'nın sınırsız desteğiyle İran'a saldıran.
So it says Israel, which attacks Iran with the unlimited support from the West, destroys Gaza. Alright, I'll just read the subheading. And bullies every country in the region, is not aware of what it is doing. Perhaps it will realize its mistake in the future, but we are afraid that by then it will be too late. It is becoming clear every day that the attack launched under the pretext of targeting Iran's nuclear facilities actually has very comprehensive and insidious purposes. Alright, which is what we just broke down to this being nothing more but Esau trying to get the upper hand within the race of who's going to control the next economy. Alright. We have argued from the very beginning that discussions on Iran's nuclear program should be carried out at the negotiation table. Today we are at the same point. Okay, it didn't really give me what I wanted, but it's all good. Let's play this one. Oh shit, let's see what this one says. I'm not sure if it's in... Yeah, it's in the language. Okay, it's gonna be... Online. Alright, let's see what this says. If war breaks out and Pakistan fails to establish peace, it is our duty to attack Israel. Which is what Iran said.
Claiming a viral video is triggering panic online, claiming Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has threatened to attack Israel. But here's the truth. That claim is completely false. The video, widely shared on X and other platforms today, alleges that
You know what? Yeah, fuck this shit. Because that's all bullshit, man. Okay? When you look at the history of how Erdogan has expressed himself of how he feels about America and moreover Israel, he does not like him. Alright? So you see how Esau is trying to create that damage control so that he can continue to bring this peace message to the world. But no peace is coming, man. Alright? This will escalate. So let's go to the second point that ChatGPT makes. It says, economic pressure builds. Turkey shifts to self-protection. As oil stays bottlenecked, Turkey will feel higher energy import costs, inflation spikes, currency pressure. Likely moves diversify energy imports more from Russia, Azerbaijan, Central Asia, increased use of pipelines like TANAP/Turk Stream, quiet deals with non-Gulf suppliers. Turkey will try to detach itself from Hormuz dependence, alright? But let's get to the bread and butter, so to speak, of this chat and get to the fourth point. If war escalates further, worst case scenario, which is what we're on, Lord willing, until, the missiles fly, man. It says, if this turns into a prolonged regional war, Turkey could militarily secure its borders, prevent spillover from Syria Kurdish regions, increase military presence in northern Iraq/Syria. Alright? And when you look at Turkey and the stance that they have with a lot of those Ishmaelite countries, they don't really get down like that. They don't see eye to eye. But again, we're living in a time where they're starting to see that they share a lot of similarities, which is them hating the same person, which is Esau. Alright? So, through their hatred towards this goddamn devil, they could set their differences aside and do what they gotta do to fulfill what we're gonna read later on in Revelation, the 17th chapter, of burning this whore with a great fire. Alright? 2. Push NATO, but cautiously. May support NATO strategy indirectly, but avoid direct war with Iran. Turkey does not want a direct Iran conflict. Total collapse of Middle East trade. Alright? It's not really giving me what I had wanted, but the point being, yeah, this chat, man, it ain't the same of how it was a couple months ago. Alright, it's pretty much playing in the narrative of Esau, giving that peace message again. But again, Turkey does not fuck with the US along with Israel. Alright? So the only friends that Turkey has at his disposal are the Ishmaelites. Alright? And according to prophecy, Turkey is going to start getting down with them. Alright? So let's get this real quick in Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, and we'll start at 3. It says, And say, thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, which Magog, and Gog, which is the same thing. Alright, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. This is talking about Russia. Alright? And if you can't get that concept, then you gotta really understand what this chapter is speaking about, man. Alright? As far as how prophecy's taking place. Alright? Verse 4. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Alright, which is pretty much in essence showing that the Heavenly Father would put Russia back in the USSR Soviet spirit of, being the top dog in the penthouse, so to speak. Alright, and from the looks of it, that's where Russia stands right now. Alright, they got the military capability, they got oil, they're pretty much self-sustained and independent when it comes down to the trade world, having to deal with America. Alright, and because of that chief spirit that Russia has right now, a lot of nations are starting to turn their head to Russia and, make deals with each other. Okay, one of them being Turkey, as we're gonna get. It says Persia, Ethiopia, and who are the Persians? The Iranians. Alright, it says, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, and the house of Togarmah, alright, of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. Now, what is modern Togarmah? Let's look it up. What the hell, Salaki? That's a spirit. Look at that. The first one that came up in the search engine was Togarmah. It says modern day Togarmah is most commonly identified by scholars and theologians as Turkey. All right, or theologians. That's how you pronounce it. As Turkey, with some interpretations extending to Armenia or the surrounding Caucasus region. But the point being is, who is this? Who is this talking about? Turkey, the same person that we're seeing rising up in the spirit to destroy America along with Israel, man. All right. So the chess pieces are all coming together to checkmate Esau in everything that he's doing, and to further the process of what's written in Revelation 17 and 16. All right. So this is Revelation 17 and 15, and we're going to read it in the NLT just for the sake of seeing how it has it written. It says, "Then the angel said to me, the waters where the prostitute was ruling represents masses of people of every nation and language." All right. "The scarlet beast and his 10 horns all hate the prostitute. They will strip her naked, eat her flesh, and burn her remains with fire. And the 10 horns," all right, the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns, this is talking about NATO and the EU, all right? And again, a beautiful testimony or a testament that shows that NATO and the EU would pretty much revolt against America is within this Trump administration, all right? A lot of them didn't help America within this war in Iran, you know. Trump was cussing him out, talking about, we don't need you, but yeah, you're you know, pretty much cussing him out, man, you know. And but the main point in reference of what this lesson is about is Turkey. Turkey used to be a part of NATO, all right? Matter of fact, let's just look it up real quick, just in case someone out there in the audience doesn't have that information. Was Turkey a part of NATO? It says Turkey has been a member of NATO since 1952. All right. Matter of fact, let's just click on it. Under Wikipedia, it says, but when did it leave? I'm not getting a direct answer. AI mode. Let's see what this gives us. It says Turkey is a current and long-standing member of NATO, having joined the alliance on February 18th, 1952. All right. But if my memory serves to correct me, they're not part of NATO anymore. All right. Yeah, they're not a part of NATO. All right. It says, since the 2016 attempt of coup d'etat, the 2019 Turkish offensive in northeastern Syria, the deterioration of relations between Turkey and the U.S., the deterioration of relations between Greece and Turkey, warming relations between Turkey and Russia, and opposition towards Finland and Sweden in their membership bids in 2022. Point being is that Turkey ain't fucking with NATO anymore, alright? Because of what the U.S. did. So there you have it, alright? I'm not sure why that was so hard to get, goddamn. But reading on verse 16, it says, the scarlet beast and his 10 horns all hate the prostitute. They will strip her naked, eat her flesh, and burn her remains with fire. And the fulfillment of this is going to be through what kind of fire? Nuclear fire, alright? Which is what Turkey is capable of doing to not only Israel, but to America as well, alright? And as you read in Ezekiel the 38th chapter, who's going to be a part of that process? Russia, alright? Verse 17, for the Most High has put a plan into their minds, a plan that will carry out his purposes. And what's the purpose of the Heavenly Father towards America? To destroy it, okay? It says, they will agree to give their authority to the scarlet beast, and so the words of the Most High will be fulfilled. Alright? And once upon a time, that was the case. Alright? Turkey, once upon a time, trusted America. Alright? But that trust has been broken. And you see how they're moving towards America along with Israel. They hate them. Alright? So as things continue to escalate within this whole, Israel-Iran back and forth, it's gonna... damn, Jay got a sneeze, but it's not coming out. Salakia. But it's gonna continue to cause Esau to create more enemies, and it's gonna cause Iran to start having more allies put within their disposal. Alright? People that don't want things to escalate, so they're gonna fight back against Israel along with the US. Alright? And one of the main ways that they're gonna do so is through the economy. Alright? So with that, Lord willing, this was an edifying lesson for you, brothers. It's just something quick in the spirit. Alright? Again, another point that I wanted to make before I close out is oil. Alright? One of the main commodities as to how Esau wants to govern the earth is through energy. Alright? As we're living in a new age where, you got technology like AI, robots, and things of that nature, one of the things that you need to manufacture that kind of technology is oil. Okay? So as that's something that's in high demand, Esau wants to get his hands on it so that he can make more money, alright? And along with having the ability to be like the Most High and control everybody, alright? But these heathen aren't going to give it to Esau that easy, okay? So we'll see how things continue to move forward, man. But best believe that the Lord is putting the spirit within these heathen to start ditching this whore, alright? And show their emotion of being mad pursuant to Jeremiah 51:7. Alright? So with that, giving all praise to our power, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings unto the elect. Shalom.